Hello and welcome to this video on angles and parallel lines. So by the end of this video, hopefully you will know the key angle rules for parallel lines and you will be able to apply these rules using various questions. So first of all, what does it actually mean if lines are parallel? So parallel lines are two lines that are equal distance from each other that never meet, and they can both be both horizontal and vertical, and they will usually be going in the same direction as well. And we've got a picture of one here. So these blue lines are the lines that are parallel, and we've got a line which is known as a transversal here. So this is a line that is cutting through both of those parallel lines, and we're going to be looking at the rules that apply to these lettered angles that you can see on this picture here. The first rule is that alternate angles are always equal. So if we look on here, we've got this transversal here, we've got this line cutting through our two parallel lines, and these angles that are labelled A are the angles which are alternate to each other. This would also apply to these angles here that I've just drawn on the diagram as well. So let's call those B. So those angles would also be classified as alternate as well, and therefore would also be equal. Your next rule is that corresponding angles are equal. So this is the angles that one is in between those two parallel lines here, and the other one would be just below it. So these angles are corresponding to each other. This would also apply to these as well. So let's call that C and let's call that D. Those would also be classified as corresponding angles, and it would also apply to this one here and this one here too. Those would be classified as corresponding angles and would therefore also be equal. Next slide is the nice easy one. This one, vertically opposite angles are always equal. So these two would be same as these two here, which are illustrated on the picture on the right hand side there. Right, now there's one that throws a little spanner in the works. So there's one rule where it's not about them being equal, it's about them adding up to 180 degrees. And we can see here we've got co-interior angles, these are known as. You might also see them referred to as supplementary angles. This also applies to this one and this one. So these two will always add up to 180. So if that was 100, that would be 80. Okay, and that's the key rules that you need to know. So now we're going to look at applying those rules. Okay, first question then. I've got two angles here, X and Y. See if you can have a look, see if you can use those rules to try and figure out what those angles are. So pause your video and have a go. Okay, let's have a little look at this then. So angle X is equal to 52 as well, and that's because we're using our corresponding angles rule. So let me get my spelling right. So corresponding angles are equal. Okay, so X is 52 because corresponding angles are equal. Now, because we know that's 52, what's always a good idea, by the way, when you do angle questions is label the angles as you start to figure them out. We now know that that's 52. So because that's 52, we can now figure out Y, angle Y. And we can use our angles on a straight line rule for this one. So 180 minus 52 is 128 degrees, and that's because angles on a straight line equal 180 degrees. You can use, if you want to, your alternate angle rule. This one would also be 52 here because it's alternate to that, and then you could again apply your straight line rule for that one. Okay, here's another one then, a bit more complicated this time because you've got three angles to figure out. Okay, there are a number of different rules that we can start with here. I'm going to go here. So this one is 119 degrees as well because these are vertically opposite angles. And remember that vertically opposite angles are equal. Okay, so that one's got to be 119 degrees, and this will enable us to figure out the others. So this one is also 119 because alternate angles are equal. So we've now managed to figure out that one. Then we can apply, so that's for x. Then we can, for y, we can do our co-interior angles. So we can do 180 minus 119, which will give us 61 degrees, and that's for y. And that's because co-interior angles add up to 180. Then for z, we can go a number of ways. We can use that 119 again if we want. So it's 119 degrees, again, because of our vertically opposite angles. Or you can use your angles on a straight line rule again with y if you want to as well. So this is what's always quite a good idea, because there's often quite a lot of ways of figuring these out, is just start to figure out some of the angles and label up your diagram, then decide which reasons you need to support your decisions. So always label the diagrams when you start to figure these out. Okay, so here's another one then. We know this angle is 133. We're trying to figure out what x is here. So pause your video and have a go. Okay, this one then. Now this one is also 133, and the reason it's 133 is because corresponding angles are equal. So they're equal. Now we can apply our straight line rule. So 180 minus 133 will give you 47 degrees. And that's because angles on a straight line equal 180 degrees. There are lots of other ways you can figure that out. You can figure it out using, you can do straight line here, you can do, there's loads of them. There's loads of different ways of figuring it out. So if you did get to 47 with some other reasons, it doesn't mean you've got it wrong. It just means you've perhaps done it a different way. Okay, so this question is taken from an AQA past paper. So we're going to try and figure out both x and y here. So if we start with x, that's a nice straightforward one here. So if we do, so for x, we can do 180 minus 25, and that will give us 155 degrees, and that's because co-interior angles add up to 180 degrees. So that one's 155, so we can write that on there. Then there's a few places we can go after that for y. We can go here. So that's 25 degrees, and you can give two reasons for that. So you can say that angles on a straight line add up to 180, because we've got a straight line here. Or you can talk about your alternate angles. So alternate angles are equal. Now we've got to deal with this triangle here now. So we've got this one here. So we have 90 degrees and 25 degrees, which is going to give us 115. If we take that away from 180, we are left with 65 degrees, which is this one here, and that's because angles inside a triangle, remember, add up to 180 degrees. And then once again, we can use our straight line rule now. So we can do, let's see, 180 minus 65, and that will give us 115 degrees for this one that's just here, for angle Y. Okay, so that's angle Y down there. Okay, let's do one more then. So again, we've got another AQA question, so pause your video and have a go. Okay, so this one is saying that angle AB is parallel to CD. So what that means is these two angles will add up to 180 degrees. So we can do 180 minus 50. Oh, can we go another way? Oh, it doesn't really matter. We can do 180 minus 53. That will give us 127 degrees. So that's this one here. Then there's a few different ways we can go after that. So we can use our angle on a straight line rule here. So we can do 180 minus 127. That would give us, again, 53. So we could have used alternate angle rules there as well, because those two are alternate to each other. Now we've got this straight line forming here. Okay, so we've got 53 and 48. We can add those together. So 8 add 3 is 11. Carry the 1. 5 add 4 add 1 is 10. So far we've got 101. So then if we take 101 away from 180, we will end up with 79 degrees for angle X on that one there. So sometimes they look a bit more, this one looks quite complicated because I think at the angle that it is on the page. So just try to work out as many of these angles as you can before, and you'll usually find eventually you'll sort of step by step get to the angle that it's looking for. Okay, thanks very much for listening to this video. Hit subscribe and there'll be loads more videos coming your way. Thanks very much. Bye bye.